It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Wednesday, June the 26th. Black Sabbath right there with Paranoid. Just so you hear these words telling you now of my state, I'm telling you to enjoy life. I wish I could, but it's too late. Ozzy sang that, 1970? I think he's been enjoying life since 1970. Call me crazy.
Yeah. He's been effed up since 1970. What's not to enjoy?
I mean, that's 54 years of flying in the face of what at that time was conventional wisdom for Ozzy. So I'm glad to see he shook it off. Right. Hey, good morning. It's Wednesday. It's like Boxing Day, or it's half Boxing Day, the day after half Christmas around here. So we're getting over the celebration. It was a very nice day yesterday. Thanks for everybody who chimed in. Today, it's just back to the grind of a late June afternoon. Locally, man, this dam, the Rapidan Dam down in Mankato, last night, in case you missed it at about 9:30, the Barnes family home, that beautiful white house right there along the riverbank next to the dam, it did collapse. It did go into the water. Boy, that was tough to see, especially knowing it was going to happen. I don't think anybody was surprised. But I saw that video, the first thing I saw when I got up this morning and looked online. My heart goes out to the Barnes family. It's one thing to lose your home. It's another thing to have the whole world waiting for you to lose your home. I can only imagine what that's like. The dam itself, imminent danger of collapse. They're just going to kind of let it run its course, I think. It's so expensive to try to get in there and do anything about it. I guess, again, we'll be saying this for a while. Our hearts go out to anybody who's dealing with all of these floods, historic flooding, and just the beginning of a very long process of trying to get some normalcy back.
Yep.
What do you do when you know your house is in imminent danger? What do you keep? What do you grab? What do you get out of there? Yeah, of course,
margaritas,
the blender.
Yeah, that's probably about it.
A blender, the ice maker.
Air fryer, if you have one of those.
Yeah. My mom would have always said, and always did say, just get the photo albums. Yeah. That was it.
You don't need those anymore. It's all
you don't. Cloud, yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah, I think you're right, Zepp. Since we don't need photo albums anymore, we just go for the hooch.
Yeah, right.
Jewelry.
A couple of things. Jewelry. I suppose people do own jewelry, don't they? Yeah. I literally don't own anything. But yeah, I don't know what I'd grab. Not much. Favorite pair of boots, I suppose.
Boy, that's a tough one. They have, they've got some, they've got a store up the way too. Where they've been, they've owned this a shop for 50 years. They're hoping to hang on to that cafe, selling pies and everything over there. It's a business that's been around since 1910. Anyway, that's a rough situation. I did see people online commenting, you should take this video down. This is someone's personal home. It's also news, and I feel very bad for the family. But, this is one of those things. As I said, I've had people getting a hold of me from all over saying, hey, are you okay? Just assuming, oh, my gosh, they see Minnesota flooding, and they're not quite so sure of the metro area. Just, because my point is this is a very large story, not just in Minnesota. The flooding going on in Minnesota and Iowa, everybody's well aware of. That was, so I'm very lucky to be able to say, yeah, no problem where I am. Speaking of Minnesota, Prince is getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This is not a highlight from 25 years ago. Somehow he has never had one until this year. Who's doling out stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and hadn't gotten around to Prince until 2024? How is that possible?
Yeah, I understand. Surprising. It's not awarded, right? You have to buy it.
Oh, I guess that's probably...
You have to apply for it and then buy it. So, yeah, that was my understanding. And after that, I learned that. I thought, well, what's the big deal? You just have to be in a position in your life. So why are they just buying one for Prince now? What's the big deal?
I'm not sure. Jimmy Jam announced it. Said he was very happy to see this going in. There's almost 3,000 stars there now. The class of 25, Prince will be joining Jane Fonda, George Strait, Adam Carolla, David Beckham, Misty Copeland, and Chris Wallace, among many others. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's see. The B-52s. Okay, I'm down with that.
Prince has that star on First Avenue. It's gold now. That's all you need.
That's all you need. That stars. That's the one that he cares about the most, I guarantee you. But I'm happy to see it. I mean, hey, better late than never, I suppose.
Yeah.
40 years and a day since Purple Rain was released. That's a celebration still worth having. Today on the show, speaking of celebrations still worth having, let's see. Several things to make sure you remember. 6:40, we got a sports and music history lesson. 7:50, Band or Not a Band, a game where we will give away tickets to the Rock the Boat cruise at the end of July. So that's a couple things to keep in your pipe. Wait until we tell you to smoke them. And then, of course, we do need to talk about a guy who drinks water out of his own boot, when he finds himself lost in the mountains. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good morning. It is Wednesday, June the 26th. Another day of blessed freedom with running water for a guy named Lucas McClish. Have you heard about Lucas McClish? He's 34-year-old Californian. Lives up in the Santa Cruz area. Northern California, more like the Bay Area, south of San Francisco a little bit. And a couple weeks ago, June 11th, he was on his way to work and said, you know what, I'm gonna stop off on the way to work. I got a few hours to kill. I'm just gonna take a walk on a trail in the mountains. Just gonna take a little casual hike.
Yeah.
Didn't prepare himself for anything other than a few hours in the woods. And in fact, he planned to be on the trail for 3 hours, had a little loop in mind and knew that it would give him 3 hours and he could go kill it. And I could just get lost in my thoughts, lost in nature. And then as it turned out, he literally got lost in the Santa Cruz Mountains. He set sail for a 3-hour cruise only to be gone for 10 days.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been out overnight before. That's freaky. I can imagine after 3 days, the first day or two, you're probably thinking, okay, all right, a little messed up. I'm stuck out here. I'll be fine. I got this. I'm not that far. I just got to start. Where's west at? Where's the sun? All right, where's it setting? I'll be fine. Day 5, you're thinking,
forget it.
Thinking, yeah, I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm going to die.
He did have hiking boots on, which came in very handy because he was able to collect rainwater in them to drink to stay somewhat hydrated. This is a 34-year-old man who, if you see any images of him online, he looked a little worse for wear before he went in.
Yeah.
But he aged about 32 years in those 10 days.
Yeah,
The before and afters are astonishing.
Yeah.
Here is Lucas in his own words discussing, a little bit of his journey.
Each day I go up a canyon, down a canyon to the next waterfall and sit down by the waterfall and drink water out of my boot. I felt comfortable the whole time I was out there. I wasn't worried about it. I had a mountain lion that was following me. He kept his distance. I think it was just somebody watching over me. Just help. I'm over here, or I want a burrito and a taco bowl. That's what I thought about every day after the first 5 days when I started to kind of realize that I might be over my head.
Doesn't have a significant other.
You gotta have something to live for.
That burrito bowl. That's what. Here you go, Lucas. I don't know how much time you spent out in the mountains, but that guardian angel mountain lion of yours was not watching over you. Well, it was for you to get weak enough to eat.
Yeah, he was watching you marinate. That's what he was doing. He was literally just like, come on, would the clouds roll through? Get out of here, clouds. I need this guy to get a little overheated.
If he didn't have that damn boot. All right, if it's a waterfall, what the hell do you need your boot for?
I do like the fact that he said it took him, he started to feel like he might be in over his head on day 5. Let me tell you something. I'm on hour 5 in a panic mode myself because I do know enough. I've got a pretty good sense of direction when I'm in an urban environment. I can always get back to where I started.
Yeah.
But you put me out in a mountain range with a bunch of trees. I mean, I can kind of figure out where I'm facing based on where the sun is, I hope.
Yeah.
Otherwise, forget it, man. I don't know how to get myself out of the forest.
You left on a trail. I get a 3-hour loop, so he must have gotten off trail and just gone back country, as it were, side country, I suppose, if you're not too far off trail. But yeah, I don't understand exactly how you would get lost for 10 days. You just pick a direction and go. But it's just kind of mystifying a little bit that he was stuck out there for so long. But yeah, when it gets freaky is when it starts to get dark. If you've ever been lost out in the mountains, you're like, okay, I'm all right. I'm a little lost. Let's go. Oh, damn it. I thought I was going this way, but I guess I'm not. But when it starts to get dark, then you start to panic a little bit. Be out there overnight.
Rosemary and I, this is 30 years ago, we were in Big Sur, that area of the similar area south of San Francisco, an hour. So Carmel, beautiful little town there. Big Sur is just gorgeous, famous landscape photos from the ocean and stuff. And we spent a couple days there at this place, and we went for a specific hike. And we, parked the car, got the loop, got it ready, did the switchbacks, found ourselves coming through the woods at the top of this giant lift rise in the hills, if you will, and then an amazing panoramic view of the ocean. I mean, it was astounding. And then at some point, we made our way back to the car, and I said these very words. I bet that was probably 7 or 8 miles. And she goes, I was thinking it was 10. It was 2.5.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
2.5 miles. And I, by the way, this is 30 years ago when I was in less bad shape than I am right now. And I said 7 or 8. She said 10, about 2.5.
About 2.5, right?
Yeah. It was different days for sure.
Yeah, this guy's, he toughed it out 10 days. I mean, that's double tough out there. I take my hat off to him. That's not a good time. But no one's going to beat the 3 days that this guy spent lost in the wilderness. This goes back a few years. We had this story. Guy gets lost for 3 days out in the Florida Everglades. Comes out 3 days later, naked, missing an arm.
The alligator took off with most of my arm. It was about down to my elbow, maybe a little bit more, with the bone poking out. A lot of pain the whole 3 days, screaming at the top of my lungs. There's no way this is real. My arm's gone. Like, I don't have an arm anymore. There's no way. I got to be dreaming or something. I came out of the swamp naked with one arm. I was reborn for a reason. I believe that is to motivate other people.
Now, when they took that audio from that interview...
Oh, my God. I've never heard that.
Yeah, this guy was still wrapped in a blanket. This was 3 years ago.
Sure.
He was still wrapped in a blanket. It wasn't like 6 months later, and he's sitting there all cleaned up and had some time to reflect. This is still fresh, and this guy's laughing about it. She totally took my arm. But, I believe it happened for a purpose.
Yeah.
So the guy lost for 10 days, came out like, oh, thank God I'm alive. I get it, but... This cat right here is...
What are the chances? What are the chances if this guy, Lucas McClish, if his guardian angel mountain lion had decided he was ready? I mean, any chance you're fighting off a mountain lion?
Nope.
Not really. It's just you and the mountain lion. You got your boots.
Yeah.
You may have removed a boot to try to get some water in there. Maybe it's steel-toed. Maybe you can, use that on your fist and throw some punches. Maybe you do have it on your foot and you're able to kick. But I saw a video last week, and it was taken at a zoo, and they set up a thing where they had like 4 incredibly large muscle-bound men doing a tug of war with a rope. That on the other end of the rope went through a glass wall, and on the other side of that rope was one female lion, and they were pulling as hard as they were straining every bit of their incredible strength, and this lion was barely flinching and just keeping them in place. They could not tug of war one lion.
Yeah.
And a mountain lion, or a puma. Let's just call it a puma. It's fun to say puma. They're not playing games. They get right in. They get you by the neck and you're toast, right? There's no fighting off a mountain lion.
No, there was a story years ago out in Washington. A mountain biker was attacked by a mountain lion, and he ended up choking it out and killing it with the old.
Oh, that's right.
The old leg grip. They got it in the leg lock.
Oh my
rather.
God!
But it turns out it was a very small, emaciated, sick mountain lion.
Yeah.
It's the only reason he got away with that one. Even he admitted it.
Not only do you need the sick, emaciated mountain lion, you have to know how to do the leg lock. Like, that's not a guy who just watched wrestling as a kid and figured out maybe it'll work. He's done that before, I bet you anything.
That tug-of-war mountain lion, was it in its paws or in its mouth? That it was
in its mouth. No, just in its mouth. It was just in its mouth. Like, whatever. What are you guys doing?
Anyone that's ever tried to throw a cute little calf knows just exactly how strong animals are. That's animal strength. There's old man strength, and then there's wild animal strength. That's a whole different level.
I'll say this right now. I'm confident I can take down, if need be in a pinch, if my family's threatened, an adult raccoon.
No, you can't. No,
really? No?
Absolutely.
I can't take down Rocky Raccoon?
We used to go clubbing raccoons at night. You can do that legally in South Dakota. You spotlight them, and then they're caught in the light, and then you smack them with an axe handle or a bat or something like that. Because you get $40 for each coon that you kill.
Nice.
And that was good money when I was a kid.
Yeah, it was.
So anyway, my brother with like big welding gloves on tried to catch one that he cornered, a small raccoon. I would say it was, somewhere between just a baby raccoon and an adult raccoon. The strength that they possess in those little bodies, he couldn't even hold on to it for a second. No.
Yeah, but if it's life and death, if it's coming at me with intent to kill, I'm still I believe what you say. I don't doubt it. I can. Well, I tell you what. There's not a possum alive I can't kill if need be. I will step down to the possum level or an opossum if you prefer. All right. I will take that bastard down.
All right, I'm going to go down to a hedgehog for myself.
Yeah, they're slow, kind of chunky around the edges there.
You have to go down to like an otter or a squirrel.
Hey, dude,
Turtle.
don't mess with an otter, dude. Trust me.
Much bigger than you think.
Yeah, they're nasty.
Yeah, they you know what their real super strength is? You think they're cute and cuddly, and so no matter how much you're warned, you've got a subconscious. Oh, come on, how bad could it be? And then you are looking at your face on the ground, going, "Wait a minute, that's supposed to be on my head."
Yeah. It might depend on where you get the otter. I still think on land you're screwed, but if it's in the water, game over.
Yeah, no question about it. This is food for thought. What's the biggest animal? What's the largest animal you're pretty sure you can take if need be in a pinch, life or death? This is something to think about. I'd like to can we let's go there. The Facebook page, KQRS, it's up. Let's get some answers. I'm curious just how deluded we all are about our own strength.
Maybe a redhead.
Yeah, this is gonna really appeal to the certain subsect of society who thinks they can land a plane if need be. Let's see what we got. Hit us up on Facebook. Mike Evans in a history lesson. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Wednesday, June 26th, and this is the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Hey, good morning, KQRS, all of our listeners, and Steve, and Zep, and Tone, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday. Got some Hollywood news, and since this report is brought to you by Marcus Theater, seems rather appropriate. Marcus Theater, every Tuesday, $6 for any movie. Marcus Theaters and has some great new movies coming this weekend. I'll be reviewing for you tomorrow and Friday. Well, the partial list of 2025 Hollywood stars Walk of Fame has been announced. I mean, there can be no doubt that it was once the greatest honor to have your name on a star on Hollywood Boulevard. First star was given to Joanne Woodward in 1960, 64 years ago. But the walk has changed. Now it's almost 2 miles long with stars everywhere. And are you ready for this? There are 2,683 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Before getting one nowadays, you have to be approved by a committee. And you have to pay $50,000. Well, I will say this, better late than never. On the new 2025 list of honorees, Prince, Jane Fonda, and Colin Farrell. However, also on the 2025 list, David Beckham. What in the world does David Beckham have to do with Hollywood? I don't get that at all. He's a soccer player. Oh, here's a funny sidebar for you. There's been stories that Johnny Depp, late at night, would have his limousine stop alongside his star on the Walk of Fame so he could pee on it. Why, I don't know. Probably drunk, I'm guessing. Also interesting, Donald Trump has a star on the Walk of Fame as well. Sports shorts and a sports movie to tell you about. As you know, the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup on Monday. Well, we still have the Olympics next month from France, and more on that in the coming days and weeks. Baseball's All-Star Game. Baseball's World Series. They're in the future. But how about this nugget? In just 36 days, the first NFL preseason football game is going to be played. The Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans on ABC TV and ESPN. It's the Hall of Fame game. And the NFL, the Hallmark Television Network, are teaming up with Skydance Sports to make a Christmas sports movie. It is entitled Holiday Touchdown, a Chief Love Story. Now, details are a little sketchy, but shooting will start in a few weeks at where else? The Kansas City Chiefs Arrowhead Stadium. That's just a few miles from Hallmark's headquarters, also in Kansas City. All Hallmark is saying is it will show community spirit, passionate fans, and rich traditions. I have learned that the movie will air on Hallmark December 7th. I think it's a Saturday. Hey, have a great day. We'll do it again tomorrow. I'm Mike Evans. See ya.
There's your Mike Evans Hollywood Report. Now let's look back. On this day in 1981, Magic Johnson, after 2 years in the NBA, signed a lengthy contract, a contract for life, 25 years, which is really bizarre, but it was the biggest story of that year. Magic Johnson signed with the Lakers 25 years for $25 million. $1 million a year, which is laughable now, but in 1981, that was the sign that the apocalypse was right around the corner. You can't give an athlete $25 million. Steph Curry made $55 million this past season playing for a team that did not make the playoffs. Yeah, not that really big of a deal. They assumed he was going to be content and happy, and 2 months after he signed the deal, he forced out his coach. But that did bring Pat Riley in, so I guess it all worked out.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Wednesday, June 26th, 7:50 today. Oh, we'll be playing a game. We'll be giving away Boat Rock the 80s cruise tickets. We're going to play a game called Band or Not a Band. At 7:50, you will want to be here. You might want to even be one of the two contestants vying for those tickets. The United States Food and Drug Administration has got a message for you. If, in fact, you're one of those people that's just selling your poop.
Well, how much are you offering?
I'm just, look, all I'm saying is, you're probably aware of the fact, I would assume we've heard about this. There are actual treatments where people have stool samples from healthy guts put into the bodies of people with unhealthy guts. People with, there's like Crohn's disease, anything where you have colon inflammation. Oftentimes it's treated with what you would call a, quote, healthy stool being placed inside you. Yeah. And then the microbes get out and it makes you feel better.
Feces.
Yeah, crazy, but true.
Yeah, and listen, I have my fair share of stomach issues. Not done the fecal transplant, but is it just, how do they do that? What's the procedure? How's that go from one butt to the other butt? It's not like
there's definitely some gloves involved. I don't think that's something you can wash your hands all day long, but you put on a glove and then you just hand someone, I guess, a couple cocktails, and then you start putting on like the right music. No, I think this is a very clinical. This is a hospital thing. This is nothing left to chance, generally speaking. And I don't want you to think the FDA wrote a letter to some dude in a basement, although there probably is a dude in a basement selling poop somewhere. There's a company called Human Microbes, and they advertise themselves as the world's largest, highest quality stool donor bank.
I I've looked into donating sperm.
Yep.
There's blood, plasma.
Yeah.
All sorts of things you can donate. But, yeah, poop. I don't know. What do you get for a good log?
I don't know what they're going. I don't know. But, I mean, honestly, there's worse ways to make a living. I mean, I would imagine.
The supply is plentiful.
That's very true.
Yeah, right. And you said very clinical. This isn't something you do at home. Contraire, mon frere. Go ahead and type it into YouTube. DIY fecal transplant. I don't even know where to start. There's so many videos. How about this one?
So what we need to do is...
By the way, she's in her kitchen at home with a blender and some Tupperware.
So no. Is we first get your little blender thingy.
Don't have margaritas at her
Open
place.
up the poo.
Yeah, she's got Tupperware with
She
has a Tupperware with probably about 1.5 foot coiler in there.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how much to put in. I just kind of guesstimate.
Yeah, guesstimate.
Put it on really tight, otherwise shit might literally hit the fan.
What you're watching is the preparation of a homemade fecal microbiota transplant, or as it's known, FMT. Yes, that's a poo transplant, and it might seem gross, but it's currently saving lives and potentially treating the untreatable.
Oh, it's hard to watch.
So anyway, if you're thinking this is something you want to look into, how about this? Just don't. No. This is a company, as I said, called Human Microbes. They've got doctors on staff, all this, but they haven't gone through the proper procedure. The FDA really has a bit of a tight protocol for whether you get approved to peddle your poop, as it were.
Does it have to be human poop? I mean, what if...
I think that's what's best. I think that works best, yes.
All right.
I know this. The idea of receiving poop from an exterior source, I would prefer it to be human than anything else.
Yeah, no.
That's just me.
Yeah, no, I'm not thinking of an animal that, I'm just thinking of something maybe genetically superior, a purebred something. We're all mutts on this planet, but, if you're thinking of purebred poop, maybe a fine breed of dog or something. I don't know.
Stallion.
Yeah, a stallion would be cool.
Would you prefer to get your transfer from a stranger or somebody that you know?
Did you just wink at me?
Wow.
I don't know what
Yeah, do you have an offer to follow that up with, Ryder?
Got some Tupperware in your backpack?
I do a real good job of eating my greens, so it should be fine.
Yeah, no, you probably...
I could take a kidney from a friend or a family member. Yeah. I could take, they do partial liver transplants. That would be like, thank you so much. If somebody I know and love comes up and says... Looks like I'm a positive match for poo. I'm just going to have a hard time with that one. No, give me a stranger. Give me a stranger's poo. Because what if it doesn't work? What if it makes you feel even worse? Then you're looking at someone and going, you couldn't even give me a proper dump. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing you had to do. You just had to continue to eat food and stay hydrated, and that didn't even work out.
I feel like I've had some weird weekends where just a fecal transplant has happened on Naturel,
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. But hey, whatever makes you feel better.
Well, no, for the people who receive this treatment, and it does truly make them feel better, and in ways change their lives. Obviously, it's fantastic. It's amazing the stuff we come up with. But I do wonder what that conversation was like that led to somebody in a lab coat probably decades ago said, well, why don't I just put some of my crap in you and see if that helps? And they all laughed. And it was like, what, are you out of your mind? But, eventually it happened. But the first people they tried this on, of all the clinical trials, you'd be like, I was one of the first people to ever get a kidney transplant. Yeah. And people look at you like you're somehow special. If you're the first person to get a poop transplant, no one's high-fiving you.
No.
Yeah, that first person's like, well, just hear me out, Phil.
Yeah.
I get me feeling really bad, It has to be a bad tummy day. For me to go for that one. But hey, whatever gets the job done.
Remember Baby Faye? They gave her a baboon heart in the 80s to see if she could make it. Hero. Baby Faye, hero. Mike from accounting who took some crap up his six. No, not a hero at all. Sorry, that's just not how that goes. I would definitely not welcome the poo of anybody who's been eating blowfish as of late. The Japanese pufferfish, also known as the blowfish. Anybody who's ever watched The Simpsons knows this fish can kill you pretty quick. But in Japan, it's a delicacy. It's the second most poisonous vertebrate in the world. There's a frog in Colombia with even more poison involved. If you eat it, you will die. The blowfish, the pufferfish, also known as the fugu fish, its skin, organs, and bones and blood all have poison that is toxic and deadly to humans. You have to prepare this fish just right. Chefs in Japan train for years before they're allowed to serve it. However, if you don't want to wait for your personal chef to get 2 years of training, just buy a new brand of ramen noodles. Cup Noodles brand has a ramen that is now flavored with blowfish.
Well,
why?
Yeah, why? I don't.
There is the Cup Noodles version comes with a special fugu seasoning oil that you put on top. I'm assuming it's not even potentially deadly, but I guess it's just a shtick. It just makes people want to try it to see what fugu tastes like. For $2, you can say, "Hey, I had some fugu. I had some blowfish." It's just some oil with. I bet they probably just threw some paprika and some seasoned sesame oil.
Yeah, you know it, right? It's fugu flavoring. Like when you get that cheese flavoring. It's not actual cheese or whatever ingredient in there. It's just flavoring. It probably doesn't even taste that good. People just eat it because, I've eaten some blowfish. It's like a status thing. Yeah,
sure.
I mean, how good can it possibly taste? It's fish.
It can't taste any better than just your average hot tuna roll. Spicy tuna rolls works for me. I don't need something to taste good to make it then taste better, having known that I may have died eating it. That's not my vibe.
Yellowtail, bluefin.
Yeah,
the Toro.
Go for it.
That belly. That's good stuff. I don't. This gimmicky.
Cicadas. People also eat cicadas, by the way. And apparently in Wisconsin, they got a bit of a problem. A lot of cicadas in Wisconsin. That's not the problem. The problem is people are stealing them from state parks, and that is illegal.
Why?
It's illegal to. I'm not really sure. Wisconsin's weird. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
It's a dead bug.
Yeah. Wisconsin's Department of Natural Resources has issued a statement telling people to stop stealing cicadas from state parks. There are multiple reports of people, quote, harvesting them from a spot near Milwaukee, or somebody who's literally walking out with thousands of cicadas.
So?
They show up every 17 years. They come in the millions. And no one's going to miss a few thousand. What's the problem?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think those people, working those natural resources, not dissing the local DNR folks, but I think they just get a little uptight about nature. Like, you just stay on the trail. Don't pick up a bug. Don't do anything. They don't even really want you out there. They realize it's part of their job. It has to be open to the public. You ever run into these people? I do all the time.
They don't want you out there. That's great.
State parks, national parks, we all love to go to them. I, in particular, like to visit them, but they're all, get on the trail, mister. I'm like, really? Yeah. I can't just step off the trail for one? No, you'll step on a flower that's endangered or something. It's just relax. It's nature. We can wander around. We can pick up a dead bug if we want to. All right, don't go to a national park and take fossils and precious rocks or whatever and destroy things. But I can't pick up a dead bug that show up in the millions every few years. Relax.
This state park would be really good if nobody came.
Yeah, that's what they want. They don't want people there.
I was in Yosemite once and met a park ranger. So not like a state park who's worried about flowers, but a park ranger who's worried about everything, big animals and stuff. And I noticed right away, not much of a sense of humor with those guys.
No.
They don't think any of your bear jokes are funny, or specifically my bear jokes. They're real serious, focused folks. And they're doing. I'm sure in some level they're doing the Lord's work, but. Yeah, these are cicadas. They make a crazy amount of noise. They're not going to be back until 2042. Let it go. It's fine. Whatever. Yeah, they're not toxic. They're just sitting there. Yeah. And then they die and they leave behind a little, what looks like a little pork rind on a tree. Let it go, man.
Yeah. And you can't make the argument like, well, they could have an egg sac and then you take it and what? And it would hatch, and a bunch of cicadas would come out. They're coming out anyway in about 3 or 4 years. Relax. It's okay. They're not toxic. It's okay. Let people take the cicadas home.
And by the way, I kind of undersold it when I said they come with the millions. They come in the billions.
That's right.
I mean, it is there. I was back in Tennessee last month and you walk by a tree trunk and you don't even see the tree because every square inch is a cicada, and it's like, and you have to cover your ears. It's so loud. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Take a few with you. Get them out of here. Not doing anybody any favors.
Yeah.
And for the love of God, they're creepy looking, huh?
Yeah.
Whew. Listen to that. I sent you guys a video. It's ear splitting. It's like jet engine levels. So it feels like when you're walking by those trees. Hey, quick tip here. You know, we hear Zep. You give the weather and traffic updates. A lot of people get on the roads in the mornings. They're not paying attention. There's always a fender bender. Sometimes even worse. You'll hear a car overturned on 494. It's absolutely crazy. So a reminder, as always, please drive safely. Be aware of your surroundings, and remember, it's not your road. It's our road. Everybody has to get where they're going. And especially be careful when you've got a dead body under a tarp in your car. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS. The KQ Morning Show is back. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Wednesday, June 26th. 7:50 game this morning. Band or not a band? That's always a fun game. We're giving away tickets to the KQ Rockin' the 80s cruise in late July. You'll want to stay tuned for that. Here's a kind of a crazy story from Olmsted County. A woman has been arrested. She's from North Liberty, Iowa. 32-year-old Margot Lewis. A couple days ago, deputies got a call. They said there's a single car crash on Interstate 90 at State Highway 42. And as deputies and sheriffs and cops do, when they get that call, they go investigate. They show up, they see a car. It's clearly been involved in an accident. And there's a woman sitting near the center median of State Highway 42, and she's in a folding chair. And a bystander says to the cop, he goes, "Hey, I just came upon the scene. She was in her crash. She got out of her car. I gave her this chair to sit down just to help her out." This is a good Samaritan showing up on the scene and helping this lady out. Then the witnesses said to the deputy, and hey, by the way, I think there's a dead body in her car.
Oh.
The guy goes, "I'm sorry, what was that?" And he goes, Yeah, go check it out. Deputy walks over to the woman's car that's been in the crash, looks inside. There is, in fact, a person wrapped in a bed sheet and a blanket, a futon-style mattress, and a tarp. They've got this person wrapped up, covered up, tarp down. The complaint said, the paperwork from the deputy said the body was cold to the touch, clearly gone, and been gone for hours at the very least. Also, dried blood soaked into the sheet. Now, the person that has lost their life was identified as a Minneapolis resident, a woman named Liara Tsai, 35 years old. She did not die in the crash. Here's the thing. This woman from Iowa was driving somewhere with the body.
Yeah.
That's all we know so far. But if the first thing that comes to mind is Coen Brothers. This is a new season of Fargo waiting to happen, is it not?
Yeah, I think so. Probably not a serial killer. Sounds like an amateur job. You got into a car crash while you're transporting a body. Really? You couldn't just kind of keep your act together? I don't know the specifics of the car crash. Maybe somebody crashed into them, in which case, the luck.
Yeah.
Just when I'm transporting a dead body. Ugh.
There's never a bad time for traffic safety, but there are times that are better than others. You know what I mean? It's always good to be safe, but my gosh, of all the times, think about how many miles this woman's logged behind the wheel of a car without incident. And the one time that we know of that she's transporting a dead body, that's when she runs afoul of the lane in Olmsted County.
Tensed up, probably something else on her mind. She was distracted.
Have you ever been driving with someone or something in your car that made you nervous, that tensed you up? Like anything at all? And I'm thinking of two things. One, I drove about 30 minutes with an ounce of weed in my car once, and it really was not comfortable for me.
Yeah.
This was in Georgia in the 90s. So an ounce of weed back then was you did not want to be caught with that. My buddy, a good friend of mine, for reasons that we don't need to go into, told me the whole story a few years ago of just taking a drive for maybe 15 minutes, but he had $10,000 cash in a paper bag in his glove compartment.
Yeah.
And he goes, he almost crashed like 4 times. He was just so freaked out to have that amount of money in cash. And he goes, it was I just kept thinking I couldn't relax behind the wheel. And I thought, I was like that driving home from the hospital with my son the day after he was born, or 2 days later, like driving very safely with hazard lights on, wondering why the whole world's trying to run me off the road with a baby in my car. But otherwise, I don't remember, and I've certainly never transported a dead body.
No, but you've had several good examples there of freaking out behind the wheel. Yeah.
Anything come to mind? Do you ever have a time where you were, that's not true. I did. There was one time when I drove a car with my grandmother in the car, and I was nervous about that. I thought this would be the worst possible time to crash.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Well, she's an old gal. I was nervous. She's very important to me.
Right. Exactly. You kind of sound like a nervous Nelly behind the wheel, I guess. Grandma and a little bit of weed and that sort of thing.
I just drove one time with a big giant lasagna.
Yeah.
I was worried about that because spilling all over the place.
I did have a bean soup I was taking into work one time. It was in the crock pot. And
very stressful.
Yeah, I didn't tape the lid down or anything. If I'd hit the brakes and that bean soup had ended up on the floor mat, my day would have been ruined. I did drive across state lines with a hell of a lot more than an ounce
there you
one
go.
time. And I was pretty freaked out then. I'm like, dude, let's just go the speed limit. Luckily, we were high, and actually we're going probably 20 miles under the speed limit. No, we weren't high, and then when we got back, we found out we didn't even break any laws. That's why I can talk about it on the radio. It wasn't even frickin' weed. We got scammed. Like alfalfa or something. Nothing. It wasn't alfalfa. I grew up on a farm. I would have known that. But whatever it was just, some ditch.
It wasn't literally a bag of oregano, was it?
No, and it was a garbage bag full. But it was not oregano. But I should have thought something was up. The guy wanted $20 for the whole garbage bag.
Yeah,
we're going to get rich. We're going to go back to the cities and sell this and probably retire.
An ounce of weed. I'm just reminded. Remember when the former lineman for the Dallas Cowboys, Nate Newton, good player in the league for years, he was busted with 175 pounds of weed in his car.
Right.
That's a large human of weed, 175 pounds. But let me tell you something, 175 pounds of weed, that's way bigger than one human being. That's a truckload of weed, man.
Yeah, and if you're going across the state line, that's no good. That's bad news.
No, it's a competitor though, you know what I mean? You play football at the highest level, you're gonna traffic weed at the highest level, I guess.
Absolutely.
By the way, speaking of people who are no longer with us, a guy in Anderson, South Carolina. That's not too far from Clemson, South Carolina, in case anybody's keeping track. A guy from Anderson, South Carolina was hiking and apparently came across some human remains. And so he did what people do. He called the authorities and said, hey, I found some bones. Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. No, he didn't. He put them in a box and brought them to Goodwill. What?
Yeah, well, they take everything. You don't think they're going to, but they'll just take just about anything.
Something tells me this guy knows who those bones belong to. And he was like, I got to do something with these bones. I got to make sure no one... Well, you know what I'll do? I'll just say I found them hiking, and I'll take them to Goodwill. They'll figure I'm too stupid to get away with murder if I do that.
Maybe they just sat in the back room with all that other stuff for years before someone would find them. So that's bones. It's not a body. It's fully decomposed.
Yeah, box of bones.
Oh, a box of bones. All right.
Box of bones. I know this from donating to Goodwill many times. They've got a thing. You pull your car up, and it's like this bin is for clothing. Mm-hmm. This bin is for like sheets, bedding, curtains, fabrics. This bin is for appliances. And then I thought it was like a joke. There's a bones bin, and I was like, oh. I wonder what that means. They mean bones. That's not true. There's not a bones bin. Of all the places to bring a box of bones, I mean, why didn't you go to McDonald's? Why Goodwill? Why didn't you, you could have taken them anywhere. Why didn't you take them to a pet store?
It's a drop-off.
Yeah, well, that's probably what it is. You just didn't want to deal with anybody.
Right, yeah. It's a drop-off, You didn't. It's not a pickup. Yeah, I don't know why either. That's extremely bizarre. And why are the bones just kind of laying out there, I suppose, disposed of a body? Must have been in a park or something like that.
What I'm just trying to think of the most unusual thing I've ever purchased at a Goodwill or at a thrift store. Nothing too unusual. I mean, a couple like signs or framed photos are just funny looking. You go in there and you're like, look at this family photo from 1940. That looks good in my apartment. I don't know who these people are. But that's about it. That's about as crazy as it gets. I'm amazed that the person who found the bones actually notified authorities. I would have thought they were props. If I'm working at Goodwill and I go to the donation center and I see overnight someone dropped off a box of bones, I'm assuming that it's like costume jewelry. These are just bones for for a high school play or something.
Yeah, right. You probably sell them the same day. Someone looking, hey, this would look wonderful on the porch for Shocktober. This skull would make a great ashtray.
Throw the Halloween decorations in there and you can totally get away with it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've heard stories during Shocktober. People would put the dead body, fake bodies and those sorts of things out on the porch, and people would call the cops thinking it was a real dead body. Mm-hmm. This is your chance to, have a legitimate skeleton out there.
Yeah, there's definitely somebody who would take advantage of that. I love Halloween. It's fun. I mean, especially as a parent, I really got back into Halloween. Mm-hmm. Man, I've seen some people go way, way, way beyond where they need to go with Halloween. And by some people, I mean like adults who I live near. Really, really take it too seriously. The kind of people who, if you said this is an actual human skull, I guarantee they'd be like, oh, I got a candle that'll fit in there perfectly. It's going to look great. It's going to look fantastic.
I would buy a real human skull if there was one for sale. I think you could probably buy those, can't you?
I think you can, but they're not cheap. They're pretty expensive.
Well, I mean, you want the good stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to skimp on a human skull.
No, you got to pony up. I'd like to know something about the person. I just don't want any human skull, Maybe someone I know.
Well, sure. Yeah. So, I mean, just if you're going to have a human skull, you definitely want to have a story to attach to it. You're going to have maybe a little bit of a history there.
Oh, that's Eddie right there. Let me tell you about Eddie. Yeah, you're right. It'd be a good conversation piece.
It's so funny. I told Eddie, I said, man, just do me a favor. Like if I'm drinking, never approach me from the left. And he thought I was joking the whole time. And then, oh my God, one thing led to another. And sure enough, from my left side, he just jumped into the room. And I don't know. I didn't even know I had a machete in my hand. But anyway, it's so funny because, Machete Eddie. I mean, it just makes perfect sense really in hindsight.
Oh, Eddie.
I like this is a great one. A dude in New Orleans was arrested the other day. He's one of those guys who got some blue lights and put them in his truck so it looked like he was a cop.
Oh yeah.
About once a year, you get the story of the guy pretending to be a cop, and they're almost always busted for the same reason because this guy tried to pull over a cop. He was impersonating a police officer and tried to conduct a traffic stop on a cop in an unmarked car.
Now, this is like getting into an accident with a dead body in your car.
Exactly. Right? Thank you.
What are the odds?
What are the chances? And by the way, thank you for going back to the dead body in your car. If you have a car crash and you are transporting a dead body that's under a tarp and stuff, get rid of the tarp. Put the seatbelt on the body and go, I don't know what happened. We were laughing. She was telling me a story, and now she's dead. But this guy in New Orleans pulled behind an actual detective, and he put on his illegally installed flashing lights and siren. Yeah. Man, let me tell you something. It's one thing to get those lights in your car, installed in your car, and have a siren, and then tell your friends, what if I pulled someone over, and think that might be funny, but to actually do it is a whole nother thing. And to do it and it be an actual New Orleans detective you're pulling over, no one gets busted the first time. How many other people has this idiot pulled over and tried to pretend to be a cop with?
Many. Yeah, I mean, and what's the psychology behind this? Now, listen, there was a guy years ago in Minneapolis that was running around doing this, and it turns out he wasn't pulling people over. He was just beating traffic. That I understand.
Oh, hell yeah.
He turned those suckers on. People would get out of his way, and he'd just cruise right on through. I get it. I respect it. It's wrong. They got the guy. But what's the psychology behind someone really playing cop? This is Chief Rick Rowe laying down his theory about this actual story of the guy in New Orleans.
Sometimes it's people who fantasize with being in law enforcement, or parents may have been in law enforcement, or family members may have been in law enforcement, and they just never made the cut.
Yeah, they just, they don't have what it takes, but they just, can't live with that, You'll be a, security guard. They'll let anybody do that, I think. I've got a couple of buddies that are security guards. I don't think you have to, you don't need much for that. Kind of the same thing.
Family was in law enforcement. I couldn't make it. That's like me walking around saying, "Oh, I was in the Marines," because my dad had been a Marine.
Yeah.
Like that would take an actual Marine less than 1 second to sniff out. By the way,
stolen valor we call it. I'm
not a chance,
Marine, but someone in the service, and that's why a lot of times people go, "What's your MOS?" Or that's what we do in the Army or whatever, because most people probably don't know what that is. Your military occupation specialty, and everybody has a nomenclature assigned with it. Mine was 12 Bravo. So that's a real quick way to find. I've had a couple of guys, I was in the Army, this and that. What was your MOS? Oh, I didn't have one. Okay, you're a liar.
This guy, not only was he pretending to be a cop, well, he was pretending to be several things. When the actual detective that he pulled over asked to see some ID, this gentleman, William Gilchrist, gave the officer a fake detective's badge, U.S. Marshal Service ID card, and also claimed to be a deputy for the county.
Oh, wow.
That's the trifecta right there.
He got all the toys.
Man.
He went down to Goodwill and got himself a bunch of cop stuff.
I have a person who's very near and dear to me. I don't want to name them because it's kind of embarrassing. Doug Gorman, my brother. He had a very large SUV, like a Suburban or a Tahoe, bigger than the Suburban, the really big one of those. Mm-hmm. And for years he ran a business. It was a fire and safety company. They sold all kinds of safety equipment to restaurants and businesses. He's the guy he'd go through a hospital and make sure the fire extinguishers all work, the systems are all in place, sprinkler systems. Real intense company, did very well with that. And along the way, also, you could go into his store and buy police tape.
Oh, really?
You could buy a giant thing, the yellow police line, do not cross tape.
Yeah.
And of course, every time I'd be like, come on, man, he's like, no, absolutely not. I'm like, come on. But they had gas masks and scuba gear. It was all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
But he had some of those lights installed in this giant ass Suburban he would drive around in. And he would do the same thing, only in traffic and all, but I was with him several times, and you'd be somewhere and it's just backing up, and he would just put those things on and hit a button that went whip, whip. Not a full siren, just a little whip. And boy, you are Moses as soon as you put those lights on. Everybody gets the hell out of the way.
Oh, cool.
And I would look at him and go, I was only with him when he did it once, but he told me he would do it all the time. And I'd go, what are you going to do when a cop, he goes, man, I know everybody, it's fine. He's like, I sell the cops safety equipment. They don't care. And I'm like, what in the world? What a great racket that is.
Right. Yeah.
He's no longer a businessman. He sold his company. He's a public servant now, so I shouldn't tell stories about him like this.
Well,
he's in a different state. He's fine.
No blood, no foul. That's just, hey, listen, who amongst us wouldn't play that card?
This is the same guy who graduated from Western Kentucky University summa cum laude, because I worked in the bookstore and I'm one of the people that handed out caps and gowns and the honors ribbons, and I just gave him honors ribbons.
Yeah, there's something to be. That's a skill. Gaming the system is also a skill in life. Yeah.
Sure, those rope, those cords they put around your neck that say something. Sure. Both of my brothers, Dave and Doug, they graduated together. Dave had taken a break, gone back to finish, so they went to graduation together. And it's in a basketball arena. It's a big university, and they simply they don't acknowledge you by name, but they say, for the graduates who have graduated summa cum laude, please stand and be recognized. Mm-hmm. and there's like 17 people stand up, and then there's this 6'4" and 6'6" guy right next to each other. And it was great because throughout the arena, you heard people going, "No way!"
Yeah.
Like all their friends, like, what the hell?
But they waved to the crowd.
Oh, yeah, they totally played it up. They were like,
great.
"That's right, summa cum laude, baby."
How'd that work out when they hit the stage? Because I'm guessing there was some faculty on stage that were, no, you didn't. No.
Oh, nobody. No, you didn't. They don't call you to the stage. They literally, it was such a large, they didn't do the every person. You stood
really?
up. They announced it by college. They said the College of Arts and Sciences, stand, and everybody would stand and they'd cheer, and they had their diplomas in hand already. They didn't do the thing. So they walked out. They got away scot-free.
Oh, cool.
My boss at the bookstore, who was, younger, I mean, he was in his 30s, but he was an adult to me. When everybody was turning back in all their equipment, he walked over to me and he goes, "Your brothers are pretty smart, huh?" I go, "Yeah, they did great." And he's just looking at me like, "You son of a..." The integrity of this very bookstore has been jeopardized now. Sorry, man. What was I supposed to do? Those ropes were right there. Who was going to stop me?
Right.
Come on. This is the highlight of my brothers' lives, pretending to be smarter than they are. This is what we all live for.
It's not like you snuck a horse into the dean's office.
Now that would have been something to remember. That would be a story they'd still be telling. Make no mistake about it.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Wednesday, June 26th. Van Halen's Panama. It reminds me, Eddie Van Halen, pretty good at guitar. And by the way, I mean that. And not the solos. I don't care about all the wizardry. That dude was a great rhythm guitarist, and nobody cares or gives him credit for it. But man, does he lock in. That right hand is fantastic. Yeah, all the finger tapping and fret tapping and reedly, that's all awesome. But man, Eddie was a rhythm player from hell.
Yes.
Man, it gets me excited. You put on the headphones, you listen to a song you heard a million times, and I'm just thinking, God, that would have been fun to play with that guy.
Yeah, you're right. No one does care.
Never.
What's he ever done?
That's great.
Oh, God. No. I mean, yeah, Eddie's the thing. I'm kind of the same way, too. I mean, you get past all that finger fretting stuff after a while, but Van Halen just had that. There was so much muscle in his rhythm guitar.
Crazy good. Crazy good, that Edward Van Halen. Let's see what we have now. Oh, that's right. We've got band or not a band, I believe. Most importantly, we got tickets to the Rock the Boat 80s cruise, July 26th, on the table. Tony, take it away, baby.
Well, we're always amused by and on the hunt for words or phrases that would make for great band names. That's true.
Yeah.
So are these actual band names, or are they made up, or do not or did not exist as far as we know? Today, to get on the KQ 80s cruise, are these band names, but are they from the 80s? Band, not a band.
Yeah, digging it. We got two contestants locked and loaded, ready to rock. Who is contestant number one?
First up, locked up, is our pal Kathy from Burnsville.
Kathy, good morning.
Good morning.
Is this Kathy with a K or Kathy with a C?
Oh, you're so bright to ask. It's a C. Thank you. Very sensitive about that.
I mean, I know a lot of Kathys, and I know that can go wrong real fast. So we like to get it straight. We're happy to have you on the show, Kathy. Are you a fan of 80s music?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Well, you're in the right place. Do you know what we're doing here? Did you get Tony's description of the game?
Yeah, I did. Yep,
awesome.
I think so.
I think Kathy's ready. Let's do it.
All right, Kath, sounds like you're a force to be reckoned with. Is these the names of a band name from the 80s? The first one up is Skinny Puppy, band, not a band.
And that's SKIN, or I'm having a little trouble hearing, but skinned or skins?
Skinny Puppy. Skinny Puppy.
Oh, okay. For an 80s band, I don't know. I'm probably going to say... let me think. Skinned puppies. I would probably say yes.
Correct. Band.
Very nice.
Your thoughtful process worked.
Wait, skinned puppies?
I'm staring at a window, outside a window, thinking hard.
Don't think so hard. Not in our games. Number 2, punctured lung incident.
Punctured lung incident. That seems like it would be. I'm not sure about the 80s, but punctured lung incident. It's probably yes, but I'm gonna say no.
Correct.
Wow.
Ooh. Trust those instincts.
Boy, Kathy licked her finger, put it up in the air, and the wind blew no. I like it.
What a way to put that. All right, Kath, number 3 is the meat puppets.
Meat as an M-E-A-T?
Meat puppets.
Yep, M-E-A-T.
I think probably, yeah. That sounds like an 80s freak show.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Although I'm thinking M-E-E-T, meat puppets could be a short film about puppets getting together on the side. You know, like when it's like Toy Story, when you leave your puppets, they wake up and hang out and they introduce themselves. Meat puppets.
Get acquainted.
All right. I'm taking notes. All these ideas you're giving me, Kathy. Thanks.
Kath, number 4, Crammy, Spammy, Whammy, and Jeff.
Oh, that sounds so wacky, but repeat that again. Crammy, Swammy.
Crammy, Spammy, Whammy, and Jeff. Band, not a band.
Me and Jeff. Band, not a band. Crammy, Spammy, Whammy, and Jeff.
Yeah.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
I would probably say, I'd probably say yes. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kath. Oh, you overthought that one.
If you had said it right, Tony.
Right. It was all in the pronunciation. All right, sorry you missed that one, hon. We move on to number 5, Haircut 100.
I'll say yes. That sounds good.
Correct.
Yes, indeed.
And one more for you. Number 6, Kangaroo Go-Kart Park.
Kangaroo Go-Kart Park?
Correct.
Kangaroo Go-Kart Park. Kangaroo Go-Kart Park. I don't know. My gut is saying no, so no.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got it.
Huge franchise in Australia, however.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. If you're over there, they're around every corner, you know.
Sure, they're very skilled,
Yeah.
surprisingly.
That's great, Kathy. You went 5 for 6. I just came up with 2 great new concepts while you were playing that game. The first is my new wave band is going to be called Haircut 1000.
All right.
Yeah, like even better than Haircut 100.
Oh, even more.
But then I thought, what if I put together a Who cover band, a cover tribute band to the Who, but we sang with Australian accents and we called it Kangahoo.
Kangaroo.
Come on, pretty strong.
Okay.
Yeah. This next song's called Teenage Wasteland. Yeah, come on, that'd be great. My name's Stevie Outback. This is Kangahoo. Thanks for coming out.
Stevie Outback.
Ooh.
All right, Kathy, 5 for 6. Very well played. That's a solid morning's effort right there. So we're going to put you on hold for a moment. Let's go on to contestant number 2. Who we got?
Bring up our buddy Joe from Brooklyn Center.
Joe, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you a fan of 80s music, sir?
Yes.
Thank you for asking.
Yes, I think Pat Boone did his finest work in the 80s. All right, Joe. Well, we got cruise tickets on the table for you. Good luck, brother.
Thank you.
All right, Joe. First up, band, not a band. Wang Chung.
That's a band.
Yeah.
Certainly is.
Yeah, Wang Chung tonight.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Number. Everybody. Number 2, the Dead Milkmen.
Milkmen?
Dead Milkmen.
I'm going to say no.
I'm sorry. Legit.
The Dead Kennedys, Dead Milkmen, a lot of
Right.
dead.
A
Yeah.
lot of deads. Yes.
It's a reference to the Johnstown milk flood of 1899.
Yes, of course.
Hey, I lost an aunt in that, man.
Sorry,
man.
not bad.
Dude. Number 3, Roy's Open Sore.
That sounds like one that Tony made up. No.
Correct.
Very good.
Completely false.
That hard on the Minnesota. No.
Laugh at Roy. Number 4, Kajagoogoo.
Wow. No.
Sorry, that is legit.
Right.
Kajagoogoo.
Well, there he goes. I'm out of it now.
Well.
Nope. Well.
Oh, we're still having fun, Joe.
Yeah, that's good.
And your last one, Joe, of course. Let's end on a cultural high note. The Butthole Surfers.
Oh, you know that is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The band's frontman, Gabby Haynes, said that the name was inspired by a conversation he had with his dad about the effects of LSD on the human brain. That explains it.
Did Dad spit that one out? A bunch of butthole surfers, if you ask me.
And they lived on the coast.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, one more. I'm sorry. Number 6, Band of Susans.
No.
Sorry, that is a band.
It's like my dating life in the 90s. I think I dated like 3 Susans in a row.
Band of Susans.
There was I saw a flyer for a band in Birmingham, Alabama. They were called Black Ass Susans.
Oh my gosh!
I always wanted to. Never saw the band, but a great name.
Yeah.
Joe, thanks for playing, brother. Sorry it didn't go your way, but Kathy, you are the big winner today. 5 for 6. Well done. Woohoo!
She thought her way. She's just a thinker. She worked it out.
That's right. Kathy's going to join us on the boat July 26th. Thanks to Stillwater Riverboats for throwing a couple tickets on the table for us. That was a good one, Tony.
Yeah,
pure fun.
Joe's Open Sore is probably my favorite of the day.
We'll do that again. We have lots of them. Lots of 80s
So,
bands.
are you guys telling me you don't like my Australian Who cover band, Kangahoo?
I mean, it's
got potential.
You know, I mean, I'd go with a free ticket.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying.
I want to hear some of these tunes, but yeah, sure. Why not?
Just rewrite the lyrics so they're all about, like Vegemite and spiders and snakes and stuff, just like, come on, that'd be great, man.
Sure, yeah.
Come on, Wallaby Wasteland or whatever. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I think that one's got legs. I'm going to work on that one.
All right, yeah. I mean, yeah.
The only one I ever thought about seriously doing, because I had a great band, I knew we could pull it off. I wanted to do an act called James Beige, and it was just like a white golfer singing James Brown songs.
Oh God, that's a
Walk
great
out there
idea.
in golf gear.
Get back, people now hit me.
Yeah, it was like Papa's got himself a brand new bag, and like singing all about my golf bag and all that stuff.
Just slightly out of time.
Gosh,
yeah.
it's a man's world.
I gave it a lot of thought, and I literally did think about pulling the trigger several times, and then the mushrooms would wear off, and I'd go, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I'm not. That's a great idea for someone else, but not me.
Yeah.
But I would love to get up and if I could sing like James Brown. Can you imagine having that kind of a voice?
Oh yeah.
Like hitting those screams and just having the ability to walk onto a stage and just boom, open your mouth and everybody stops what they're doing and pays full attention. Be a pretty great thing to have.
To hell with walking on a stage. If I could sing like that, I would just sing talk to everybody. You know, I wouldn't have to be on a stage. You just catch me in the cafeteria.
I'd like a Frosty.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe some chili. Yeah, man. Ordering Wendy's back in the day, that would have worked.
Mm-hmm.
If you could sing like any great singer, who would you pick? Ranker.com is asking people to vote. Top singing, if you could just open it and what voice would come out. So far on this poll, on the male side of the ledger, Freddie Mercury coming in at the top spot. There's a guy from BTS, which is like a Korean, that's a K-pop band. Jimin is on there. Sinatra, Michael Jackson, on the list. But Freddie Mercury, apparently, I've heard the isolated vocals for Best Friend. There's also the one he wrote for Aretha Franklin. I'm spacing on my
Top Bottom Girls.
That's the one. Yeah, for Aretha. Yeah. Any Freddie isolated track is kind of mind-blowing. On the female side, the number one singer that most women say they wish they could sing like, probably not that surprising, Whitney Houston. I don't know. Anybody? I mean, let's see what they got. Celine Dion's on the list. Mariah, Kelly Clarkson. Taylor Swift is number 81 on that list right now. Yeah, no one's ever going to say she's one of the greatest ever singers. She's obviously, she's Taylor. That's all she needs to be. But But her isolated vocals, they used to say in Nashville back in the day that the auto-tune machines would have black smoke pouring out of them on her first couple of sessions. But she's come around. She's doing a little better these days. Make no mistake about it. I'm not a singer. I'm never going to be. I never really cared to be. But I can tell you this. For on the drumming side of things, I got two guys. I got Ringo and I got Bonzo. And all I've ever done is essentially rip them both off at all turns. All I'm trying to do, whether I consciously am or not, is sound like one or both of those two. The swing, the feel, way more than the actual like fills and chops, you know. I have gone down so many rabbit holes. I will go deep on Ringo Starr isolated drum tracks. The key to successful drinking and drumming is never listen back the next day.
No regrets.
100%. The most important thing to do. Do not listen back to the tape. It's the same as when you decide to take acid and record all your thoughts. And because you always have these great, really deep concepts. I'm going to record these into my iPhone, and then tomorrow I'll remember all of them. Not a good idea. Not a good idea.
I do that all the time for radio stuff. You alluded to it just a few minutes ago. And then the next day you're like, oh, I can't. That's idiotic. That's asinine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or ever record some of those high things. You're like, no, this is a really good idea. This is a super. And then you're sober and you're like, I'm an idiot. Why do I keep smoking this crap?
I think it's important that we circle back to a conversation we started earlier today. Probably the most important conversation we're going to have all week, and that is, what's the largest animal you're confident you could kill with your bare hands? Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Wednesday, June the 26th. Good morning. Let's talk about the animal kingdom for a moment, shall we? Earlier in the show, we discussed a gentleman who went out for a 3-hour hike that turned into a 10-day wilderness expedition. He got lost in the Santa Cruz Mountains of California for 10 days, drank water out of his boots, and then said, among other things, there was a mountain lion that was kind of tracking me. I felt like he was my guardian angel.
Each day I go up a canyon, down a canyon, to the next waterfall, and sit down by the waterfall and drink water out of my boot. I felt comfortable the whole time I was out there. I wasn't worried about it. I had a mountain lion that was following me. He kept his distance. I think it was just somebody watching over me. Just
dope.
No, the mountain lion was watching him for seasoning and marinating purposes. The mountain lion was literally like, another day or two, he's going to be ready to eat. He just escaped a mountain lion's long-term plan there. The mountain lion learned a valuable lesson, which is don't wait. Just when next time you see a guy lost in the woods, get on that bad boy. Yeah. But it led me to say something. I said, I'm not going to take down a mountain lion. Granted, I'm not the guy who says I can land a jet plane if I need to. I'm not the guy who says I can drive a car through a loop-de-loop if I need to. I'm not going to, I'm not going to jump a school bus on a motorcycle, and I'm not going to fight a mountain lion. I did, however, say, pretty confident I could take down a raccoon if need be. Like a matter of life or death, I'll take it. I'll take a raccoon on. When I said that, Ryder snorted, coughed, and laughed all at once in response. And then Zep told me, no, you couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, those things, by the way, have some pretty awesome choppers. I mean, they're big spiky teeth, and they have that wild animal strength. We talk about old man strength. That's nothing compared to wild animal strength. Nope. They, per pound, it's there's a lot of fight in a raccoon. And,
sure.
I mean, you get one in your hands. You try to, I remember my brother live trapping one, and we just tried to get it out of there. We were just trying to get it out of the trap, and it just about killed both of us. So,
the animal kingdom.
Raccoon, I think.
The animal kingdom they don't have moments of their life in air conditioning, and they don't make instant mac and cheese. Yeah. It's a very difficult, different way to work through the planet, to work through life. So they're ready at a moment's notice. No. So I'm still okay. I take you at your word. I value your opinion, but I'm still feeling kind of confident about this raccoon. On the KQRS Facebook page, we did ask, what's the biggest animal you could kill with your bare hands? I've just got one I've got to come right to. Mark wrote, I'm a retired MMA professional, and I could probably take down a horse.
I love that one.
That is incredible.
Yeah, that is. We'd love to watch that happen, by the way.
Mark is the guy who would land a plane on his way to taking down the horse.
Yes.
Does anyone know how to fly a plane? No, but I'm a retired MMA professional, and I'd like to take a shot at that.
He'd be kind of like those rodeo guys when they rope the calves, on the horse. He would bring the plane in, jump out of the plane onto the horse, and just put it down.
Really, really, really good. Well, a lot of people commenting. I mean, we've got like triple-digit comments. A lot of people saying, "Probably, I can't even handle a mosquito. Why do you ask me to handle something larger?" That makes perfect sense.
The trouser snake. That's funny. John, I just want to say this out loud. I don't know what it is, but it's fun. Saber-toothed crotch cricket. Anyone? Right? Say it out loud.
Wow, saber-toothed crotch cricket. Okay, all right. I like David wrote, he could take down Officer Doherty of the Minneapolis Police Department. Is that an actual person we know?
I don't know. Oh, there's Doug with a little kitty. Yeah, maybe a kitty, especially before they open their eyes. A blue whale.
Okay, Chris wrote an alligator. I have seen people say the key to the alligator is don't let him open his mouth. Once he opens it, he'll snap it down. But apparently, like the down snap is all the strength, but getting an alligator's mouth open, they don't have really strong opening muscles.
No.
So if you get there first, you can wrap up an alligator's snout and he won't be able to open it. I'm not going to put that to the test.
No, my brother did, though. He held an alligator's mouth closed.
Really?
We were at Alligator, what's it called? Alligator out in the Black Hills. Reptile Gardens.
Reptile Gardens. Yeah,
Reptile Gardens.
Is like a petting zoo area there?
Yeah, well, they have the little guy that gets out there and wrestles with them or whatever. He does, the whole thing, gets out there and messes around.
Kids.
Yeah, and he invited Chris, can I get a volunteer? And all of our arms shot up in the air. But he picked Chris, and Chris went out there and he had him hold the mouth closed. And and Mom and Dad didn't think anything of it. Like, hold that alligator's mouth closed, Chris. And
wow.
Yeah, he let you do it. And
wait, what? Tell me what this place is called again.
Reptile Gardens. It's it's like Bear Country, USA. It's one of these little roadside stops out in the Black Hills.
Not far from Wall Drug, right?
That's right. Yeah, just when you're rolling around into the Rapid City area there.
Yeah, I'm checking it out. Reptile Gardens. That's pretty strong. There was there's a House of Blues in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina that I've played shows at several times. And if you walk out of the dressing room, there's like a little side porch balcony area, and it overlooks like the alligator park of Myrtle Beach. And so when you're backstage at this venue, you just sit there and watch hundreds of alligators in a lagoon swimming around, just staring up at you like, your band sucks, man. You can just see those alligators on there like, overblown. You guys think you're something. Bring that down here, dude. And they're just like challenging you to go closer. Yeah, it always really unsettling. I'm not a fan of reptiles on any level. There's not a reptile on earth that I'm going to be like, oh, let me see him. I just see black eyes, and I think there's no relating to this. I'd rather take my chances with like a jaguar than an alligator. That's just me.
Yeah, no, an alligator on land, or a jaguar in the water.
I don't know about that, man. I've gone down some rabbit holes. I've seen jaguars and crocodiles fighting in the Amazon, I think, or somewhere. I don't know. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talk and text line. We've got some texts. We've also got, I believe, a call right now. Who's on the horn?
Mike from Minneapolis has his tale of man versus beast.
Oh, Mike, lay it on us, brother. What do you got?
Well, we found a big old buck laying on the side of the road with a roadkill, and so my dad tells me, go grab it. So I go grab it off the road, and I pulled once, and when I pulled again, the son of it stood up next to me. All the legs knocked out.
Wow.
So it tried to stab me the first time. It
no.
I had all the horns, so I kept it off me, but then it started jumping up and down and kicking me, and I'm in peril. I mean, this thing was big, and I was holding on for dear life, and thank God my dad came out of the truck, and he used to sell knives, so he came out and he handed me a fillet knife, and I wound up getting it through the throat that way and riding it down. But I was in peril. I was definitely for dear life.
Man, the big difference between roadkill and road hurt.
Yeah, no deer. I mean, I
definitely got lucky on that one.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, no kidding. I had one charge me one time when I was out hunting. Got my rifle up in the rack, locked with the rifle a little bit there. I probably would have had a little puncture wound.
Yeah, that would have been rough. Thank you for the call, man. That's a terrifying story.
The horns aren't for decoration.
No, they're not. Yeah, Tommy Boy. We all remember the scene in Tommy Boy when the deer wakes up.
Mike went to see that film, and everyone's laughing, and he's just sitting there quietly, like, it's not funny.
Had to walk out of the theater.
I was on a golf course in Pennsylvania years ago on the road with my cousin who was on the road with my band, and I'm at a tee box. It's just the two of us, and I'm standing over my ball. I'm about to hit, and he just goes, "Hey, Beaver," which was my family childhood nickname was Beaver. And I looked at him, I go, "Dude, I'm about to hit." He goes, yeah. And I look down at the ball again. He goes, "Hey, Beaver." And I look at him, I go, "What?" He goes, "I'm not talking to you." And I turn, and 2 feet behind me on the tee box is a very large beaver.
Great.
He's just standing there looking at me like, "What are you doing with that stick in your hand, man?" And it freaked me out to see a beaver that close. And he had just slowly walked up behind me like, no fear whatsoever. Yeah. And I thought then, like, yeah, you get a look at those choppers on a beaver, and you're like, yeah, that guy, he's bringing down trees. My legs don't stand a chance.
You ever see a beaver take down a tree?
Not in person, no.
Yeah, I watched one on the bank. First of all, I thought someone had some sort of, not a wood chipper, and it wasn't a chainsaw kind of sound, but I thought that sounds like some sort of electric power tool. And I'm walking along the river. This is out in Montana. And I come around the corner, and it's a beaver working on a tree. And I'm like, oh, my God, look at that son of a gun go. I'd never actually watched one, so I just sat there and watched it. Knocked down a tree that was probably, I'm going to say, in diameter, maybe 6 inches. Not very big. But he took that sucker down in 1,001, 1,002, 1,005, maybe. Wow. The entire thing. And I watched him take down 3 trees right there. Mm-hmm. And they are, that's their thing, man.
They look at you like you dropped the mic.
Yeah,
that's how it's done.
That's how it's done, right? No kidding.
Awesome.
Nature.
Go ahead, Brian. Get your axe out and show me how it's done.
Have you ever tried that? So I've been out camping, and of course I've got my hatchet, I'm going camping. I need a hatchet. Somebody say, hey, I go knock down a tree that's 1 inch in diameter, and I'm just out there hacking away for 15 minutes going, oh, man. I thought these things would like a ninja. I would just knock it down. But no, those beavers are built to cut down trees.
I had a school excursion to a state park in Kentucky in middle school, and one of the things you could do is kayak to a beaver dam, and I was like, hell yeah, let's go. Ooh. And we kayaked across this lake, and we came to a beaver dam or a beaver den, where they all lived. Their spread was enormous. It's I remember thinking, I had one friend whose dad was really into model trains, and so his entire basement was like a city, the train town, he just collected every buildings and cars, that train set. When adults get into model trains, they go berserk with it. And that's the first thing I thought of, because I was like, these beavers, it was like a split level mid-century, looked like the Brady Bunch house these things were living in. I was like, holy crap, you guys are the beaver den is a real hang. Yeah. They had beanbag chairs and lava lamp. Well, not really, but the beavers version. It was incredible, and they're just bouncing around. We got close enough where they weren't afraid of the kayaks. We weren't right up upon it, but we were 20, 30 feet away, and you're just watching them all jump in the water, get back out, go into the building, come out, moving branches. It was incredible. And at no point did I ever think I could take down one of those beavers. They just, the whole time, I'm like, no, I'm not about to get my hands on one of those.
No, man, they got a chopper and you're busy as a beaver, right? That's their thing.
I saw a photograph yesterday, or I'm sorry, it's a painting, but it was taken from a real thing. It was just down a rabbit hole. And I forgot about this until right now, but it was a guy boxing a kangaroo from 100 years ago in Australia.
Is that a Bugs Bunny cartoon?
No, it was a real thing. It was like a sideshow vibe on some weird traveling circus. And the kangaroo and the guy were both wearing boxing gloves. It was like a real thing. And I thought about that because you occasionally will see people reference, kangaroo fights. But there's that video last year. A kangaroo got a hold of a dude's dog, and he ran to free it. And the kangaroo rears back up. He's 6 feet tall, standing eye to eye with a dude, and they both just put up your dukes. It's a weird thing. It's got to be weird to approach a wild animal and you put your fists up and then it does the exact same thing right back to you.
Counters.
Oh, we're going to do this? We're going to fight like it's the 1920s? Let's go.
Jab, hands up. Yeah.
Yeah, the kangaroos are not. They are not toys. Let me tell you. I was at a kangaroo ranch one time, and you feed the little ones, and then there was one in the distance, and he looked really big. And I said to the guy, "What's going on with that kangaroo?" And he goes, "Well, you got to stay away from the reds. The reds. There's some that are like red color." And he goes, "The reds are." They're tempestuous, mate. You never know what they're going to think. And he goes, "There's a couple of 7-footers out there. They'll rip you right. Now they'll cut you with that middle claw right across the middle. Your guts will spill out." I'm like, "Wait, I'm sorry, what?" And he goes, "They won't come close." But I said, "Wait, are you? There's no way there's a 7-foot tall kangaroo." And he goes, "Oh, out in the wild, the reds will get to 7 feet, but they got that one claw." And he said, literally, he goes, "There's stories of them disemboweling people with one swipe."
Yeah, that's a velociraptor in Jurassic Park.
Right.
Yeah. They
what that is.
That's right. They still exist. Go to screw dinosaur DNA. They still got dinosaurs. They're called kangaroos.
Yeah, right.
Just go to Australia, man. The KQ Talking text line, a text came in. I got a buddy who tackled a deer that had crashed into the Stout Ale House Bar and Restaurant in Menominee. How do you say that?
Menominee.
Yeah.
Menominee.
Hero. Sounds like a goddamn American hero here.
This was during a Milwaukee Bucks playoff game. The deer actually crashed through the front door. One of the deer ran into a room adjacent to the bar area. Dan, my buddy, cornered it and tackled it, a small to medium-sized doe. He and the manager then carried it outside and released it. Wow.
That's impressive. I mean, even a small doe, they'll put up quite a fight. But I would think that's drunk power, too. You get some drunk power, you just don't know any better.
That's true. Yeah, you got old man energy, you got wild animal energy. Don't overlook drunk power. That's a good band name, Drunk Power. Yeah, I'm digging that one. From wrestling and killing a raccoon with my bare hands, as I said I might do. How about this? In Burton, Michigan, there's a guy named Bill Bosky. And Bill and two of his buddies were hanging out in the backyard recently. They're having a couple cocktails, a little fire pit possibly, just sitting around, hanging out, and a raccoon comes up the road and sees them hanging, just comes out of the backyard, I should say, right up onto the patio. And he gets closer and closer and recognizes these guys aren't a threat. And they actually end up sort of engaging with a wild raccoon. They're petting it, scratching it. It's like, "What's up?" The guy says, "It even climbed up on my leg."
Oh, all right.
All is good. He's giving him a little chin scratch, and the raccoon is like, "Man, these guys are okay." And these guys are thinking, "This raccoon is okay." And then the raccoon goes off into the trash. Because that's what he's a raccoon. He's gonna, he'll take a little love, but he really wants your garbage. And then he steps out from the trash, and they notice the raccoon making a weird noise. They look over, and he had found a big block of cheese, which he was working down. I don't think cheese is a normal part of a raccoon's natural diet.
Well,
check it out. Started to choke.
Who threw away a big block of cheese? But
Guys.
all right. So the raccoon didn't chew the cheese.
Choking on the cheese, not a euphemism, a literal situation the raccoon found himself in. He reared up on his hind legs, and Billy Bosky, the guy's name is, runs over, and he starts patting the raccoon on the back. Thankfully, his buddy has a phone and records the whole thing. And so one guy is recording, another guy patting the raccoon on the back. The third member of the party goes, "No, you got to do it lower. Pat him lower on the back." Yeah. The whole time, the raccoon is on his hind legs going like, got the cheese.
Pointing to his throat.
Here's what it sounded like.
He is choking, though. A little bit lower, Bill. Upper motion. There you go. There it is. He's live, dude. That's hilarious.
Spit it out. The guy hacks up a hunk of cheese, looks back, and is like, "Thank you, Bill.
You've made a friend for life." I'm not a big fan of raccoons. Getting too close, they can carry rabies. It's a varmint. But this one, I think I'd allow for this one. Maybe this one turns into a neighborhood pet.
Oh, he'll never get rid of that damn thing. What are you kidding? This story's going to have a bad turn. He's going to be like the guy who made great friends with a raccoon, and in 6 months he's going to be like, I had to shoot the bastard. He wouldn't leave me alone. I was on a date. He's jealous of my girl.
Staring in the window, and you're trying to make out. Yeah.
It's going to be terrible. This is going to be just a bad scene. That's all there is.
I got to hear that one more time.
He is choking, though. A little bit lower, Bill. Upward motion. There you go. There it is. He's live, dude. That's hilarious.
They don't sound drunk at all.
I was going to say, how drunk are they? And by the way, that sounds like Rocky Balboa working over a side of beef in that cooler.
Just thinking that too.
Well,
Thwomp. I mean,
can't be too delicate. You got to get that cheese out of there.
I guess not, man. But who knew that you could give apparently a backslap? I mean, he was seconds away from full Heimlich on this poor little guy. You know what I mean? Just get right around there and give him the squeeze. That would have been the photo to have right there. It would have looked like he's in a baby Bjorn. Heimliching a raccoon.
Yes.
It would have been great. Let's talk about weed. Let's talk about what are you willing to do for weed? Are you willing to bleed for weed? Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Wednesday, June the 26th. Tomorrow is Thursday, June the 27th. And at 9:30 tomorrow morning, we're going to be speaking with Kurtwood Smith.
Yes, sir.
A fantastic actor. First hit my radar in RoboCop.
Yes.
Obviously, that 70s show. My favorite show on Earth, Patriot, a huge part of that show. The great Kurtwood Smith on the show tomorrow morning. He's got that 90s show coming back, and we'll speak with him about that and all kinds of things. I'm looking forward to it.
Great.
Yeah, no, he's just one of those guys. Every time he's on the screen, little or big, I'm really interested in what he's doing.
Yeah, I buy it. I buy everything he does. He's just absolutely. Dead Poet Society? My son!
Oh, that's right.
My son!
God, if he had just hugged him before he died.
Wouldn't that have been something? Just one hug, maybe.
Carpe diem, baby.
Oh, man, I tell you what, that was rough. That's a movie memory I have of just a whole group of people leaving a theater thinking, if I could get my hands on that kid's dad. You know what happened when I went to see Dead Poet Society? This is crazy. I can't believe I just remembered this. I went with Rosemary. We weren't even dating. We were just hanging out. We went to see a movie together. And I loved the movie. I was at a perfect place to just look back on high school fondly and wish I'd had Robin Williams instead of whoever I had. I was like, oh, man, those poor guys in that repressive 1950s. This is amazing. Really good movie. But at some point, I had to go take a leak, and I walk out of the back of the theater, and I'm being quiet because back in the old days, people were quiet in movie theaters. It was awesome. You would have loved it, Ryder. And I'm leaving the theater, and I push the door to walk into the lobby. There was a gentleman on the other side of that door entering the theater, but I didn't know he was there. I pushed the door, not with any great force, but just as you do, and the door hit him in his foot. It was his first day out in public since having major foot surgery.
Oh, God.
What the
and he had all the bandages and the cast. Whatever he had, it was his first day out without all that stuff protecting his foot. And the door hit him in the side of his foot. Again, not even that hard.
Yeah.
And this guy went down like he'd been shot with a sawed-off shotgun. He went... and collapsed in pain and writhing, and I had to stand there for like 2 minutes and act like I cared. I really just wanted to pee and get back to the movie, but I was like, oh my God. And he goes, no, I just had surgery. He explained the whole thing. He was literally just weeping in pain.
Oh.
And then I just went to the bathroom and then went back and watched the rest of the movie.
You peed on him.
I wanted to.
To
and
heal
then
his foot.
And then what'd you say?
My captain.
It was a jellyfish? Hang on, I know what to do.
I'm not saying you left the house prematurely, but if you're going through a door, if you're approaching a door, just maybe really watch that foot.
Step back, lean forward to reach for the handle.
So I'm stepping off to the side. Yeah, what if someone comes through the door? But yeah, all right.
And then I sat back in my seat, and Rosemary goes, "Did you hear some screaming or something?" And I went, "No, just watch the movie." And then after the movie, I told her what happened. I wasn't going to talk in the theater. It was the 80s. You didn't talk in a theater in the 80s.
No.
These things. Anyway, all that to say, Kurtwood Smith, tomorrow on the show. I can't wait to talk with him. In northern Illinois, the Rock River Valley Blood Center, this is Rockford, Illinois, they need donors. They are short on blood and plasma donations. And so they have opened up the Bleed for Weed mobile blood drive.
Brilliant.
Every donor gets an 1/8 of an ounce of marijuana or a 100 milligram edible donated by the Life Cannabis Dispensary.
Yeah, that's a pretty good buzz right there. 100 milligram edible.
Smoking weed.
Now, you have to give the blood first.
Yeah, well, but if you're a stoner, how THC, that hangs in your blood for a while, they say.
It does.
I've read,
it does.
So, I don't know, can't they just filter that out, boil it off?
Yeah, I would think so.
How that works, But I'll tell you this, I gave a lot of plasma down on Lake Street to keep gas in the old Caprice Classic back in the day so I could get back and forth to Brown Institute. And that plasma wasn't 100% clean. They had to, strain that. I mean, mostly just weed, obviously.
Oh, sure.
They didn't screen you for that kind of stuff. Diseases.
What a world we are now living in. I mean, if I had read that story on air 10 years ago, everybody would have gone, "Oh, what are you, crazy? There's no way that's happening out in the open."
Right.
No, it really is. Things have changed greatly in Rockford, Illinois. Not so much in Oklahoma. Weed is not quite, they ain't handing out weed for plasma in Oklahoma. And in fact, in Oklahoma City, a federal judge just sentenced a man to 9 years in prison. What was he doing? Well, he was being pretty darn brilliant is what he was doing. Over the last few years, he was shipping weed. He was moving around massive amounts of marijuana, 28 tons of weed that this gentleman... check this out. He would pick up vacuum-sealed packages of weed from licensed cannabis growing facilities across the state. Medical cannabis is legal. Recreational is not.
Okay.
So he would pick up vacuum-sealed packages of weed from licensed cannabis growing facilities, and then he would load them into his, wait for it, fake but very real looking Amazon delivery vehicle. Yes, very clever. Very, very clever. Then he would move the packages to warehouses all around Oklahoma, and then someone else would transport them out of state.
What?
28 tons of weed that was legally grown for medicinal purposes. He was then moving over to recreational distribution, if you will.
I wonder how he was getting it from the distribution places, the cannabis growing operations, because that's all very heavily regulated, what's going out, what's coming, how much they're growing. And
they're not offering that information. The guy who wears the nice suit is not going to go down for this, but the kid in the Amazon truck's going for 9 years. Check this out. He pled guilty to possessing weed with the intent to distribute and to possessing a firearm during said distribution. Oops. He has never been involved in any sort of violence. There was never any problems with that. He just moved around a ton of weed and did pack heat while doing it. Now, you don't need a permit if you're over 21, but the fact that he was also transporting cannabis is what got him in serious jeopardy there. 9 years in the joint. But boy, the Amazon truck is a good angle, huh?
Yeah, no, that's good thinking.
It's always a different driver. You never question it. I always get out of their way. So
right, exactly.
I think he figured it out.
They've got socks to deliver. to someone. That's brilliant. But, well, let's hope Oklahoma, hey, maybe it'll fall federally. You know, they've been threatening that each and every year, that it might just finally collapse at the federal level. Or I'll see it when I believe it recreationally. Meanwhile, it's state by state. But, yeah, Oklahoma. They seem like one of those states that's going to hang on for a while, don't they?
They do.
To fall. Because once that happens, then you get what's happening here in Minnesota. Expungement of some of these, marijuana convictions, and I hate to see them do 9 years for just moving weed around because it's legal in half the states recreationally.
It's true. 60% of Americans say it should be legal across the board, medicinally and recreationally. Always check out what state you're in. When you realize, I've got a fake Amazon van full of weed. Just a suggestion.
Son of a gun. Well, maybe he packed a lot away, gets out in 9 years, good behavior, parole or whatever in 3.5 years. Maybe he's got a big stack of money buried somewhere. He'll still be a young man.
Oh yeah, he's going to be fine. As they say, the next time someone dies from a marijuana overdose will be the first time. You can't smoke yourself to death. You hear that all the time. They don't say that about cigarettes, of course, because we all know tobacco cigarettes are, in fact, quite bad for you. But now it's getting worse. I mean, sure, lung cancer and certain death are awful. But what about this? A pack-a-day man in Austria smoking away has begun to grow hair inside of his throat.
Yeah.
As a rare complication of his cigarette addiction. 17 years of a pack a day. He was experiencing a hoarse voice. My voice is hoarse. What's happening? Difficulty breathing and a chronic cough. A bronchoscopy revealed inflammation and hairs in the man's throat in an area that had previously been operated on. He was diagnosed with endotracheal hair growth. Simply put, hair growing in your throat.
Nasty.
Cough up a hairball.
Yeah,
my gosh. Check this out.
Yeah.
And by the way, he was 10. This goes back. He's had a lot of problems with this throat. As a 10-year-old, he nearly drowned. And then when they wanted to stabilize his breathing, he was given a tracheotomy. And there was a wound in there. They subsequently had to close it using cartilage from other parts of his body. He's just had a lot of throat issues throughout his life. And the hair he's been dealing with hair growth. Oh, I made the mistake of looking at the photo. That was a real mistake.
Yeah,
but now the smoking has apparently boosted it. This is kind of like those wolves in Chernobyl that are like twice the size now, and they're like immune to all problems. All the Chernobyl animals have thrived. I think this guy's throat is having the same effect. He's growing a nice head of hair right there in his esophagus.
We have perhaps found the cure for baldness: smoking. It's a medicinal cigarette, tobacco smoke.
If I were to go bald right now, I might take up smoking. I might say, screw it. I'm old enough. I'll just smoke my way. I'll smoke till as long as I got. I'm going to do it with a cigarette in my hand.
Just get a hairy throat, though.
The hairy throat is kind of weird. I'm going to be honest with you.
I feel like I've got something in my throat just talking about it. You'd constantly, that tickle in your throat.
Tough to shave that area.
It is tough.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, not good. What do you gargle with some Nair, maybe?
I was going to say, why are you gargling Drano? Nothing, don't worry about it. It's a long story. You'd never believe me. What if he was growing just like one very long hair? Just like, like a
wiggle while he talked.
Yeah. I wonder if there's enough hair. What if you got a braid going in there, like a ponytail?
Yeah,
a throaty tail. Men are funny. It's just what it is. Men are. I'm sure he looks at it as this is just a test. I can show how tough I am. Have you guys seen this? I came across this yesterday, and I'm just reminded by it because I meant to send a story to everybody about the new travel trend for men.
Okay.
On flights, and they call it raw dogging. Now, this is a real thing. What this means is men are foregoing the comforts of flights, if you will. Here's what they do. They don't play music. They don't look at the TV. No streaming. They don't sleep. They don't take a snack. It's a new thing, and all these dudes are doing it. They sit in their seat. They stare at the back of the seat in front of them. They don't move or speak to anyone. It's like a meditative state to see how long you can handle it.
What?
And this is there are TikTok clips, they're all over now, of men just in a seat, completely still. And people are posting their things. Like, I'm looking at a post right now. I just raw dogged a 7-hour flight, my new personal best. No headphones, no movie, no water, nothing. Incredible.
Okay, yeah, you're a moron.
And if you have a flight map, that's it. You stare at the flight map in front of you. You just watch the map of your plane go by for hours.
And this makes you what, tough?
No, it makes you stupid as hell. I know that.
I mean, I don't understand it. You want to go out and you want to, you want to jump on a log out in the middle of the river and start doing the log roll. That seems like weird and kind of cool and perhaps a manly thing. But you're just going to sit on a plane and stare and make it as uncomfortable and as long as possible to prove that you're tough?
You're a stoic.
Yeah.
If a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, is there a sound? If a guy raw dogs on a plane by himself, you would never do that alone. You're doing that to just get attention. You're troubled, and this is your way out of your trouble. No, you're just a dog chasing its tail.
And you're taking a very fun term, raw dogging, and you're ruining it. You didn't raw dog anything on the plane.
I object to diluting the meaning of raw dog.
Thank you, Ryder.
Do you know? Yeah. Hey, man, you want to raw dog a flight? Sit on the wing. Get back to me.
Right, man up.
Yeah, right.
You're in a chair that reclines. It's got a seat belt, and you have an air conditioner vent over your head. You're not raw dogging a damn thing.
No, that's just, swing and a miss on that one, tough guy.
Or it's also called the way our parents used to fly. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, the way your parents used to tell you how to fly. Not just sit there. No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not turning on that. No, you're not getting that. Don't talk. That's right.
Whatever happened to sitting in your seat and thinking about the marvel of aviation? I guarantee you, my dad never bored on a plane a minute in his life. He'd sit there at all times like, look at all these people taking for granted a true miracle of modern living. They don't understand thrust. They have no idea that the air pressure on the top of the wing is what propels us upward, or whatever the hell. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention in physics or any of that crap aerospace class I had. But that's not exactly the as far as trends go. Yeah. No, I mean, I'd rather see somebody. I'd rather see somebody seeing how much they could take advantage of during the flight. Like 2 sets of headphones. I'm watching 2 movies at once because the guy next to me fell asleep, so I worked up his screen. I want all the snacks, all the drinks. I mean, make it something I can appreciate as a viewer.
How about actually raw dogging on a plane?
Now that is worth the price of admission. Sure.
I'm just saying. Good Lord.
It's come a long way in society.
That
was like, I remember when the straight edge music scene hit, the straight edge punks. Now, we don't drink. We don't eat sugar. We don't do drugs. We straight edge. I was like, oh, my God, just go get an Eagle badge or whatever, Eagle Scout, and get out of my face. Don't come into a rock club and tell me you're straight edge. Come on. What the hell's wrong with these people?
Plenty.
I was just trying to think of the first time I ever saw live TV on a plane. You might as well have told me we were going to Mars. I was like, wait a minute. It was like a JetBlue flight maybe, or Frontier. It wasn't one of the big airlines, but I got on a plane at some point a long time ago now, and there was just live television. And I mean, it was like, I probably felt the way people felt on the Titanic. Like, this is a whole new level of travel. I could not believe
chandeliers,
that was possible.
Ballroom,
man.
This is a different kind of travel here, isn't it? I remember when I first saw it. I don't really recollect the year, but I do remember seeing it in first class, sitting back there in row 30 or whatever, and you could see them like they're watching a movie on the back of the seat in front of them.
Sure.
I wonder if I'll ever get to do that in my life. Wonder if I'll ever be up there watching a movie.
Yeah, I told the kids, I've sat there, I've explained to them, I'm like, there used to be like 3 screens for the whole cabin, and they were over the center, they were just over the aisle. Do you remember that? They had the TV screens that would drop down in the aisle of a plane.
Yeah.
Like every 6 rows. And you didn't want to be too close or too far away. That was it. And we were living large.
Yep, I've sat under them before, where you have to almost look straight up.
Yep.
To kind of
the worst. Like, absolutely the worst.
And everyone had to watch the exact same movie. It was
of course.
Torture.
Yeah.
It was torture.
Yeah. It was always something you saw 15 times before or been avoiding your entire life watching.
Yeah, I've sat on a flight, on the Southwest flights. If you have the app on your phone and you open up, you have live TV, you have all these movies, you have everything. And I've sat with the kids, and they're literally like, they have their phone out. I'm like, you can put on a movie or something if you want. And they're like, there's nothing to watch. I'm like, there's 50 movies.
Yeah.
There's 30 TV shows. There's live TV. Nothing to watch. Why, when I was your age, I had to raw dog these flights. Don't tell me there's nothing to watch.
Oh.
Ridiculous. Oh, man. Hey, about this time tomorrow, a little later, the 9:30, let's call it tomorrow morning, Kurtwood Smith is on the KQ Morning Show.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good Wednesday morning, June the 26th. Hey, later this year, this is important. The Eagles are going to be at the Sphere in Las Vegas. They're going to play 8 shows this fall, and you could, in fact, be there. Why don't you do your part to win a trip for 2? Flights included, of course. Your stay at the Venetian Resort Las Vegas. Dinner, 2 tickets to the show, plus a VIP experience package. If you want to go see the Eagles at the Sphere, text the national keyword hotel to 95819 right now to enter for a chance to win. That's hotel to 95819 right now. Get on it. We were talking about gentlemen on flights earlier in the show today. Guys on planes now they've co-opted the word raw dogging to mean you raw dog a flight if you sit in your seat and don't do anything. Just stare at the seat in front of you. If you have a map, if there's a map feature, you just look at the map. No music, no snacks, no beverages. You just show how stoic you can be.
Yeah.
Or you just show how much of a life you need to find somewhere. And for the most part, in my mind, if you want to show the world how tough you are, lately it seems just get on a Boeing airplane, and that's letting the world know that you're a bit of a thrill seeker.
Taking some chances.
Man, Boeing is just, they cannot get out of their own way. And it is now extended beyond 737s. Boeing, imagine being the head of PR for Boeing right now. They have a spacecraft called the Starliner. The Starliner from Boeing is currently in space with 2 astronauts. Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore are on the Starliner, cruising in space, and they went up and went to the International Space Station. They stopped by for a visit. Hey, what's going on at International Space Station? They were supposed to be up there for a few days.
It's like the big truck stop up there, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Swing in, grab some food, fuel up, hang out for a little bit.
Exactly. Suni and Butch, I want to say Sundance and Butch. Suni and Butch jumped in this Starliner, and they took off for an 8-day mission. And not unlike our hiker in the Santa Cruz Mountains, they have now been in space for just about a month because there's problems with their spacecraft.
Whoops.
And the engineers on the ground are doing all they can to figure out how to get these guys back to Earth.
Well, they've got plenty of time up there. I mean, I hope they didn't park their vehicles at the airport in parking. They're just racking up a bill, aren't they?
Oh my God. It's like an airplane, the movie Airplane, when you're in the red zone, you're still in the red zone. So this bad boy took off on June 5th. This is after a couple of unsuccessful launches in earlier June and in May. A year behind schedule. and $1.5 billion over budget. But other than that, just a screaming success so far.
Sounds like your average, space operation, doesn't it?
Yeah, there were some issues with reaction control thrusters and helium leaks. Now, I'm no astronaut, but that doesn't sound good to me. They say, listen, these have all been stabilized. This is not a concern for the return mission. And by the way, too, a Boeing spokesperson said the crew's not pressed for time to leave the station. There are plenty of supplies in orbit, and the station's schedule is relatively open through mid-August. Yeah. Okay, but what happens after mid-August? And first of all, relatively open and outer space are not words I need to hear in the same sentence. Yeah, well, outer space, I want specifics. I don't want generalities. That's me.
I remember once getting caught. I ran out of gas on my wave runner out in Minnetonka. Bummer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of a pain in the ass. You just can't paddle that thing back yourself.
Yeah, right.
Finally, someone towed me and it wasn't a big deal. I remember running out of gas when we couldn't see the shore on the ocean. We got out that far, about 5 or 6 miles doing a little fishing. We ran out of gas, and I started getting panicky, a little sweaty. I couldn't see the land. I'm a landlubber. I'm a Midwest guy. I can't imagine in the vacuum of space. You're fine till mid-August. You're good. We'll get her figured out. We're a little off schedule. Yeah, Boeing's in charge. I'd be a little.
Someone will come by.
I know they're built. I know they're built for it up there, but yeah, you're right. Well, someone will swing by.
Someone's always from this planet, though. Like, would you hitch a ride with somebody else?
Well, Tony would. He's waiting for it. My God, he's got his Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy out there. It's a big thumb out. But
I don't know if you guys have had this thought, but I have, and that is that when the aliens do come down, and when we all walk out in the parking lot one day after the show, and there's an alien spacecraft right there, and they come out, we're all going to be like, "Oh my God!" And Tony's going to go, "Oh, hey, Smartboard, how you been, man?" And they'll be like, "Tony, my man."
I'll give him the nod, the secret handshake.
That'll be it.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get on that spacecraft and I'm going to raw dog it.
Oh, man. Yes, I'll go back to your planet, but I will not be having snacks or listening to music. Thank you.
You guys are going to be like, ooh, look at that. Those shiny lights. Is that a laser? Is that a teleporter? I'm just going to be sitting there staring at my little map.
Guys, don't take it personally. Zep's just this is just how he likes to travel. It's fine. I'm sure these are the best snacks ever.
Probably give myself a good probing, wouldn't I?
Speaking, there are some people I can think who probably need a good probing, and one of those is a gentleman by the name of Guillermo Sonline. Who is he, you might be asking? The founder of OceanGate. Do you remember OceanGate? A year ago this week, OceanGate submersible took a few folks down to the Titanic and left them there because the damn thing imploded. I did see a chart, and it said Titanic deaths by year, and it spiked in 2012 and then was flatlined, and then again in 2023. It's kind of funny. But anyway, so the guy behind OceanGate, the submersible that could not survive a trip to the Titanic, now 1 year later to the week says, I'm pretty sure we can send humans to Venus.
You first, buddy.
Yeah, thank you very much. He's published a blog. We could embark on our Venusian journey today, safely and, most importantly, cost effectively. Now, the surface temperature of Venus is over 400 degrees Celsius for starters.
Why do you want to go to Venus? Just, go to...
Why do you want to go to Venus on the cheap? If we're going to Venus, spare no expense.
Right.
Thank you.
I want the luxury flight to Venus.
Yes.
All the bells and whistles.
Oh, and by the way, he's not planning to do this himself. He says it's possible for humans to live in floating cities above the planet by 2050.
Yeah,
we can't live in floating cities above Earth by 2050.
Yeah.
Why do you think we can do it in Venus? Oh, I know why. Because you're a bored billionaire.
Let's get closer to the sun.
Man, you know what we should do? Every billionaire who thinks space is the answer, let's make them go to Thailand and fight Muay Thai kickboxers. for scraps of chicken bones.
All right.
You get some perspective in your life, okay? Jeff Bezos, how about we're going to have this guy kick your ass for a chicken bone? I don't know what that means, but I'm going to start saying it now. I'll kick that guy's ass for a chicken bone if you don't watch it, if he looks at me sideways again.
That's going to make him want to go back to space, I think.
It's sort of saying, Oh, you want to go to space? You want to bore us with your space explorations? Have you guys ever seen the video? Another thing I saw yesterday. Have you seen the video when William Shatner went on Bezos' spacecraft up to space for just a few minutes and then came back down?
Yeah. Yes, he was overwhelmed.
And Bezos is talking to him, and Shatner is trying to explain what he felt. And in the middle of it, Bezos is like, let's open some champagne. And he cuts him off, and he just starts celebrating. And Shatner's just devastated. Yeah. It's just, I saw that for the first time yesterday, and it made me want to slap Jeff Bezos' head yet again.
Yeah, you idiot.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It's Bill Shatner. He just went on the Enterprise for real this time.
I mean, did he pay for it?
I don't know. Who knows what Shatner gets into?
Oh, please don't tell me how to do it. It's sickening.
Here's another great story from both New Jersey and Florida. So if it involves New Jersey and Florida, you know it's just inherently going to be great. Mm-hmm. There was a scary moment. There was a break-in and an assault late at night. Dude breaks into someone's house and assaults him. The case it just got weirder when the police were called. This is what happened. A gentleman, a 20-year-old guy from New Jersey, went to Florida, broke into a home, gained entry into the victim's home through an unlocked door, wore all black, put on gloves and a mask, and attacked a gentleman who lived there, attacked him with a hammer when the guy got up to use the bathroom.
What, a gamer did this?
This was a gamer war.
That's a
online gamer altercation. There's one of the cops on the scene here gives us a little more information.
Particularly noteworthy is that it originated from an online altercation. The suspect flew from Newark, New Jersey to Florida, apparently to confront the victim in person. The victim's stepfather reported being awakened by screams for help. When he went to see what was going on, he found his stepson on the ground, struggling with the attacker who was in possession of a hammer. The victim and the stepfather managed to disarm Kang and restrain him until our deputies arrived on scene.
Okay, Edward Kang is the gentleman's name from New Jersey. So, first of all, this is all you need to know. You had the jump and you had a hammer and you didn't finish the job. You are a gamer.
Yeah, I mean, you left the basement. That's a lot of gumption right there.
It really is.
That's taking the initiative for a gamer to leave the basement.
These two guys had a
controller.
These guys had an online altercation. Think about what that means. I'm in New Jersey. You're in Florida. Yeah. We're playing some online game, and we have a, quote, altercation, and I can't stand. This can't stand, man. This ain't going to stand. And the guy books a flight to Florida and goes and assaults in person, IRL, in real life with a hammer, someone he's never met, but instead had a beef with online. And then, of course, didn't pull it off and was wrestled to the ground by the assailant, by the victim's uncle or stepfather, excuse me.
This is the first time he tried to swing a hammer.
Apparently so. I hope he didn't get a blister.
Have you guys ever done this? Put on the headphones, got into the whole gaming thing.
I did hit a guy with a hammer once, but sorry, no, I've never done it.
Yeah, I turned it off almost right away. I got on, and it was just on. And you're like, oh, I can hear other people talking, and it was sort of humorous. Every once in a while, you hear your guy going, she's telling me, hey, it's been 8 months. I need to go get a job. I need to go get a job. I've been out looking for work, and all of a sudden you'd hear the door open. Oh, yes, honey. All right. Yeah, okay, sweetie, just a minute. I got to go, you guys. And then they'd sign off. You hear these, losers in the depths, or you just would hear kids kicking your ass. You're always sure that when someone beat you in online gaming, it was probably a military sniper, an actual sniper playing the game.
Yeah, right.
It turns out it was an 8-year-old kid.
Of course.
That whooped you. But so for this to happen, he's got to be like, yeah. I mean, it had to escalate to the point where he gave him his address. There is no other way for you to find out, I suppose, if you're some sort of super hacker and you could get his IPS address and really, I don't even know if you could do that. So this escalated that, and the guy's like, like you might say, yeah, you know what? I'm down at 2000 Southeast Elm Street. Just come on down. I'll meet you in the parking lot. It was one of those, and the guy actually got out of the basement and did it. That's almost impressive right there.
When asked about a motive, so the guy, again, they arrested the perpetrator. His name is Edward Kang. He's 20. He was asked about motive, and he told the deputy that the guy he attacked, he's a bad person online. That's the quote.
And you stayed angry enough to go to the airport, get on the plane. You know how that is when it's huffing and puffing and a couple of guys going at it, and I'm going to kick his, and 5 minutes later, you're distracted. Now we're back to watching, I don't know, Clipped and having a beer or something like that.
I just picture this guy dressed as Waluigi from Mario Kart, you know, and the guy he attacked looked like Peach or something. I'm just like, he also, by the way, Kang also asked the deputies, how much jail time do you get for breaking and entering an assault?
You're about to find out.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. I don't think they have Xbox consoles in prison in Florida.
Well, you never know these days, but no, he's probably not going to be. Wished he had stayed in the basement, you know?
Yeah. Told his family he was going to meet a friend that he had met years ago in an online video game, flew from Newark to Jacksonville, got a hotel near the victim's home, and that morning went to a hardware store, purchased a hammer and a flashlight upon landing in Florida. Bring it with you, son.
Wow. I know I'll use as a hammer. All right.
If I had a hammer, I'd still not get the jump on this guy. That's what I just can't get over it. You're dressed in black. You have a ski mask. It's dark. You have the jump. How do you not win this fight?
You're a gamer.
I'm glad he didn't. It would be if he'd won the fight, the guy'd probably be dead. But I'm just saying, how do you not do that?
I like is it the dad that walks in, did you say?
The stepdad, yeah.
The stepdad walks in. It probably looked like a couple of kittens playing with a ball of yarn on the floor. You know? Two dipshits doing.
Oh my God, that's great. That's great. You guys done, or what's happening here? You gonna go all kissy face before this is all said and done?
Somebody pulled somebody's hair, and then there were tears.
Oh my God, that's great.
Oh jeez.
Did you find some dynamite sticks under the shrub? Oh, that's not in real life, is it?
Oh, man.
That's great. My son has the headset. He plays. Not too much anymore, but when he was in high school, he and his buddies would play, what's the war game?
Call of Duty.
Thank you very much. They'd get on Call of Duty, and they'd all be playing together. And there was one very funny night. And then sometimes he'd play. Obviously, you just play with strangers. You meet people online. You're in a group or whatever. And he was playing once, and I heard Connell, he was talking. Someone said something, and then he goes, Jake? And then he goes, yeah, hey, it's Connell. Hey, what's going on, man? And I didn't really understand the significance of that. And Jake was a friend of mine who played for the Tennessee Titans, offensive lineman Jake Scott. He was a big music fan. He was a big Black Crowes fan, so I'd met him over the years. He's playing for the Titans, and so Connell knew we used to get tickets from him. He was a great guy. And he mentioned to Connell once that he plays Call of Duty a lot, and Connell goes, oh, yeah, I'm playing it with my friends. And then one night in some random game, what are the chances they were on the same game? And they were like telling me like that never happens. That's the weirdest thing. But Connell just finally recognized his voice. He was like, hey, Jake? Yeah, hey, what's up, man? And I'm sure the other people in the group were like, this is weird. Like, these people are pretending they didn't know they were on this game. But it really was a random thing. Apparently, it was like a lightning strike. It just doesn't happen.
No, I mean, these things are worldwide. They're basically broken up into hemispheres. So if I'm playing here in Minnesota online, I'm in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a lot of people in the northern hemisphere playing. It would be like flying to Europe, going to some remote location in Siberia, and running into an old high school friend.
Yeah, that's nuts, man.
Pretty rare.
Yeah, he also he played a lot of FIFA soccer on that thing and play against other people, and it was always funny because like he was really good, but then he would occasionally find somebody who would just destroy him, and they would be in Spain or they would be in Norway, somebody from around the world. And he said the big thing is they would always laugh. And they're like trash talking during the game via text or speaking. And I would hear Connell's side of it. And there was one time where this guy was kicking his ass. And he was like, yeah, whatever. And then, no, I live in Tennessee. Oh, really? And then I said, what's that kid saying? He goes, no, he's trying to tell me it's an 8-year-old girl just to make it feel worse.
Well, this is a great story. Years ago, we had Chris Kyle on, American Sniper.
Right.
Before the movie came out, starring Bradley Cooper, the book had just come out, and he was doing the rounds and jumped on with us that morning. And people don't know, he's the late Chris Kyle now, murdered. But, a great marksman in the U.S. military, sniper with lots of accommodations, listen to me, accommodations, and many tours of duty, and he's playing American Sniper. And I mentioned to him, I said, well, have you ever played American Sniper, the video game? He's like, oh, yeah. He goes, I've jumped on it, and I'll put on the headset. And he goes, and some 8-year-old kid will kick my butt, and I'll tell him, I'm actually Chris Kyle. I'm American Sniper.
That's great.
I'm Special Forces. And the kid will go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, but yeah, they kick his ass in the game.
Yeah, well, of course. That's how that's supposed to go.
Yeah.
You know what? Why don't we take a quick look back? If you're not learning, you're not living. Magic Johnson, on this day in 1981, signed a 25-year contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. At the time, nobody could believe it. He wasn't expected to play for 25 more seasons, but the idea that a team would commit 25 years and $25 million. That's right, $1 million a year. And clocks stopped ticking and people stopped breathing. It was thought that we've all lost our minds. No basketball player could possibly ever be worth $1 million a year. Steph Curry thinks that's cute because he made $55 million this year.
Yeah, right. He makes that, gets 2 paychecks a month. That's more than that.
The new media deal that the NBA is about to ink will then put salaries into the mid-70s. Luka Doncic will be making $75 million in a couple of years.
Well, they can phone up Magic and thank him because
they certainly can.
Elevated the game.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.